If you like your writing advice with a tinge of weird magic, then you've come to the right place. He is, of course, an award-winning author of both short fiction and novels. Some of this stuff's paraphrased, but the meaning's still the same. Here's a bunch of Haruki Murakami's writing advice. Number 1. Reflect on what you see. Don't rush into judgment about it. The way I read this advice is that if you're trying to make a point with what you're writing, try not to be really obvious about it. You can stand on a soapbox if you want, but just don't scream into people's face while you do it. No one's going to listen to that, and your point probably isn't going to get heard. Instead, offer reflections, like he says. If you're looking to right a wrong or bring something to your reader's attention using your story, then present that thing exactly as it is. Let everything that's wrong about it be plain to see. You then don't have to stand next to something and go, "That's wrong." Drawing someone in with the power of story and allowing them to come to the conclusion themselves that you are in fact correct is a far more effective way of getting your point across. No reader likes the feeling that they're being herded or corralled into one particular opinion or observation, but if you take a reader on a journey and let them see things out of the window that make them think or feel something, then you'll stand a much greater chance of reaching them. Reflect on things instead of being really blunt with what you're writing. It's always good advice. Number 2, avoid working on anything else while you're writing a story. I don't know if I agree with this one, or I don't. I agree with working on whatever you feel most inspired and most driven to work on when you feel like working on it. But I also strongly believe you should finish things. Ultimately, I think the point about finishing things is the more important one, because without that, there are no stories. No one wins any awards or hits any bestseller lists with half a first draft. So I think in that way, focusing on one story at a time does make sense. Push through it, get it written, get it finished. Take all of the learning that you can from that particular story, squeeze all the experience out of it, and then take that and move on. Write another story. Better. Murakami's won me over. Write one story at a time, I'm on board. Having said that though, if you find yourself in the position where you can't make any more progress on your current story, and you've given it your true, honest, best effort and you've just got nowhere to go, then by all means, change it up, write something different. It's got to be fun. That's the most important thing. Number 3, the key component is not the quality of the materials, it's the magic. If the magic is there in a story, even the ordinary can become extraordinary. Big fat massive agree on this one as well. I'm all about the pursuit of magic when it comes to writing. We can learn techniques and skills and all manner of tools that help us to shape ideas into stories when we get them, but where do those ideas come from in the first place? Magic, exactly. I'm glad we're on the same page. And I agree with what he said, the key component there really isn't the quality of the materials. Nice writing doesn't make a story by itself. A fantastic plot doesn't make a story by itself. A combination of those two and a bunch of other storytelling chunks can still combine to make something lukewarm and lifeless. A story can be complete and have everything that it needs on paper, no pun intended, and still feel like it's just missing something because it has no magic. Trust me, I've written several novels like that. If a book has magic, then the everyday can become extraordinary, like he said. An idea that everybody's seen before can suddenly seem brand new. You just have to find that magic and harness it. And how do you do that? I'm asking you. I don't know. I'd really like to know. Number 4, before the magic, first comes your garage. Magic can't work if your garage is empty. Well, here's a place to start at least anyway. And if this advice sounds a little bit strange to you, let me tell you what I think it means. I recently made some videos about Neil Gaiman's writing advice, links in the description, and he called this the compost heap rather than the garage, but I think it's the same concept. It's a place for writers to store ideas and halves of ideas and scraps of that magic that you haven't figured out what to do with yet. It's a place to put ideas in waiting, shiny things that you know are going to be useful even if you haven't quite figured out how yet. I think by having a place like that either in your mind or on paper or on your phone, you're far more likely to catch those little sparks of magic. You have to be open to them or ready for them. Or better yet, you have to be looking for them. So become an active participant in how that magic reaches you. You'll find glimpses of it in stuff that you read and stuff that you watch, music you listen to, and in snatches of conversation. Follow it, track it down, shove it in the garage. It will come in handy later. Number 5, focus on exactly who it is you're aiming to reach. The intended audience should not be as many people as possible. This makes sense in a couple of different ways, the first one being your actual literal audience. If you want to write and sell books and you're looking to be successful in the commercial side of writing, then having a target audience is probably a really good idea. It's probably something that business-minded people might call a strategy. For me, I don't really want to do that. While I want to make a career for myself in writing, I don't want to do that just through book sales, so that's not really a big part of my strategy. The other way that this advice speaks to me is in what I'm writing. When I write stories or flash fiction or whatever it is, I won't have an exact audience in mind. I'll definitely won't know demographics or anything that specific. However, that doesn't mean that when I finish a story, I sit and look at it and think, absolutely everyone on earth should read this. Because that's never true for any story or any writer ever. Definitely the case for me. There will always be people that don't like what you write. And there'll also be people that do like it, but will have to be convinced to even give your writing a try in the first place. Like this guy.
Right, what's the matter with you? I don't know, just really bored. Well, read something then. Like what? Flash fiction? Too short. A novella then? Too long. How about an awkward mix of the two, which ultimately satisfies neither? Keep talking. Okay, so it's a literary crime story that traces the path of a stolen car through this criminal landscape of a rural town. Maybe. Yeah, you can check it out at kieranwestwood.com/books, or just go direct to Amazon. It's ebook and paperback. Yeah, alright. There you go, weird alter ego. Don't say I never do anything for you.
Knowing that your writing isn't going to be for everyone and embracing that is a step in your writing development that I think is overlooked. It means to some extent you can be free of thinking about what you should write, or what might sell, or what people might want to see, or what people think you should write, and instead start writing what you feel most inspired to, or at least as much as it's ever possible to do that. That might seem really unrealistic, especially if you want to make a lot of money writing books, but my opinion, and it is just that, is that I'd rather read a book written by an author who felt passionate about their story than one that assessed market trends, looked at forecasts, assessed graphs, and then wrote something intended to reach as many people as possible. And those two things are not mutually exclusive by any means, but if they were, I'd definitely fall on the side of the inspiration. Number 6, there is no substitute for repetition. In running terms, the more you do it, the more you build the right muscles to get you from one place to the next in the quickest and most effective way. I agree with this point, but if I could be so bold, I would change the word repetition to perseverance. The spirit in which this is intended, I think, is practice, keep writing, write regularly, and that's always good advice. Over time, like the muscles that Murakami talks about, your skills and your abilities as a writer will slowly grow. And you might not notice massive gains from one writing session, but those things will slowly build over time until you're buff. Things that were very difficult to start with suddenly don't feel that difficult anymore, and things that were outright impossible when you first started now seem attainable. It's always worth targeting specific weak areas in your writing. I think that's how you develop quickest as a writer. But as long as you keep writing and you finish things, you'll keep improving and your writing stamina will build. You'll also work towards developing your voice, and you'll rely less on your influences, and your writing will start to support its own weight, all from just sitting down and writing. It's not easy to do, but it is a simple concept. Write more, get good. Get better. Number 7, take the old words and make them new again. He compares this concept to playing a musical instrument. There are only so many notes you can play, but if you mean a note enough, it'll sound different. He says you've got to pick the notes that you really mean. As writers, as original as our stories might be, there's always going to be an example of something similar or something comparable out there that somebody's already written. I've heard it said somewhere before that there are only 10 types of story in existence, and while I really don't like that kind of ceaseless categorization, I do tend to agree that stories and ideas are somewhat limited. What is less limited is what the author brings to it. their own personality and idiosyncrasies, their own approach and viewpoint. It's true that story ideas may repeat, but no one can tell your story exactly the way you can. No one has the same viewpoint formed in exactly the same way. Nobody sees quite the same parts of the story from the same angle. So if you're worried that your story idea isn't original enough, I'd say write the thing first before you pass judgment on it. Number 8, share your dreams. Dreaming is a day job of novelists, but sharing our dreams is a still more important task for us. We cannot be novelists without this sense of sharing something. I can take this advice in 2 ways, I think. The first way, I think, is Murakami telling us writers to go all in. Don't write the safe story or the story that you know you can write. Write the kinds of stories that made you want to write in the first place. That perfect idea, that perfect book that you've always wanted to read. Write that. I think doing that is sharing a dream. It's writing something that you're invested in and that means something to you. And that kind of intention, I think, is visible in the pages. It comes out in the writing. And the second way I think you can take this advice is a little bit more literally. Share your dream. Tell people that you're writing or that you want to be a writer. Get comfortable with sharing that part of your life. It's not an easy thing to do because some people might meet it with skepticism or doubt, but that's okay. Talk to the people who express an interest, the ones who ask questions, and most of all, talk to other writers. Sharing the dream that way, I feel, helps you feel a little bit closer to it, helps it feel a little more likely to actually come true. The next one's a bit weird. Number 9. Write on the side of the egg. I told you. I'll elaborate. It's not about actually physically writing on the side of an egg. That's what my literal brain heard the first time I read it, but the full piece of advice reads like this. Between a high, solid wall and an egg that breaks against it, I will always stand on the side of the egg. Yes, no matter how right the wall may be and how wrong the egg, I'll stand with the egg. So really we're talking about story and character here and the angle from which you choose to approach them. To reduce its nuance to a very blunt point, everybody loves an underdog. For the vast majority of people, it's far more interesting and relatable to read about the struggles of an everyday person than the unbeatable glory of an overwhelming power, like Amazon. Seemingly improbable odds and unlikely victories are much better routes to creating drama and tension, and that makes your story more interesting. Even if you know full well that good will eventually win out, it's still more interesting to see exactly how that victory comes about than to just watch a victory of something that has power and uses power and wins. The brick wall in Murakami's analogy. This is also a useful tip for approaching characterization as well. Try thinking of your main character as the egg instead of the wall, and it might give you a bit more perspective and allow for a bit of character development that you might not have initially seen. You can start with an egg and have it hatch into something entirely different. If this was useful, I would love it if you could click the like button and maybe watch another video. As always, thank you so much for watching and happy writing.